You know the sad thing? Iso probably wanted Tristan to get inside her, but just not in this way. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Hey, another fun fact. I am telling you, there is no mangaka who has me flipping back and forth on how I feel about their narrative and their character. Well, not really their character writing. I'll admit, I'm kind of always consistent on my feelings on Nakaba's character writing. But there's no other author who has me flipping back and forth, doing hopscotch, backflips, whatever you want to say, over how I feel about their week-to-week narrative, like Nakaba Suzuki. That is one thing I have to praise. I've been pretty relatively... Hold on. You're down! Fine, we'll keep it there. But I have been relatively consistent on a lot of my thoughts. I've been... And I'll cover, like, the main series I review. I've been glazing Each of the Witch of the Moon and Back ever since I started reviewing it. Naturally. It's been nothing but glaze. My feelings have been consistent and flatlined. There's never really been many complications about that. Chainsaw Man. I've had my ups and downs. It scared me, it's worried me sometimes, but, you know, that's kind of always been my feeling about it. I like its character writing, but darn is it freaky. Blue Lock, Peak Lock. Like, there's a reason I pre-draw for every single review I do of Peak Lock. It's just been on straight peak. The other series I review, kind of same thing. Like, if it's being reviewed on the channel, clearly I like it a whole lot. And if it's not being reviewed on the channel anymore, it's literally just because there are 7 days in the week, and I don't double host anymore. So, with it being the case, all that aside, Nakaba Suzuki has me extremely mad at him one week, and then he'll write a chapter like this, and I'm like, well, darn, Nakaba, maybe you are my favorite character writer in modern manga. like, that's the thing. I don't know, man, because I'll be real. It's been 2 weeks. Has it been 2? Yeah, it's been 2 weeks, 2 semanas, since that's gonna reveal. So, like, I'm still, I can't say, like, I've cooled down on it in the sense that I've seen enough copium on how it could be Escanor, yet not be Escanor, that I'm like, okay, I can work with it. Fine, Nakaba. Still not a fan that you did it in any way, shape, or form, but there's enough copium. I get enough copium, and I can admit there's still way more context that we just don't have. And, you know, there have been many times where there have been things revealed in Seven Deadly Sins. I can think back to all the, like, the Ten Commandment review. Why am I lagging? Why? I just started recording. Why? That's it. I'm so sorry. I don't know why. I did just record the live reaction. The live reaction was 27 minutes. And you can check it out over on Patreon for as low as $1 a month, or you can become a member for as low as $3 a month in order to check out the live reaction. But in there, I was like going over the fact that initially, I really wasn't... Let's see, we back? Okay, seemingly you're not liking it. But initially, I was like, fine with the idea of this chapter, Tantrums versus Iso, chapter 194. But I was like, I kind of don't care. Because I know Tristan has to win, right? Like, that's not a thing that's gonna... Like, I think that's one of the cases where, like, the narrative and the meta-narrative were in, like, direct conflict. Where I was like, I know this isn't actually gonna be a fight where Iso has a chance to win. That's not happening. So I kind of, like, locked that off. And notably, this fight is flanked by 2 fights I either was extremely excited for or still am extremely excited for. It was flanked with Ballin versus Gawain, which, while it does have a very controversial reveal for your boy, at least in the Return of Escanor, I'm fine with Merlin. I always knew Merlin was alive. But, like, the Return of Escanor, outside of that, I love both of the characters involved in that fight, and I like Gawain a whole lot more. And, of course, you know I love Ballin. I mean, glazing Ballin way too much. Like, way too much. Like, it's actually a problem. I need to get help. But then, Percy versus Diodora is right up after this. Obviously, I don't think we're going to get that next chapter. If anything, we'll end next chapter setting up Percival versus Diodora. But, like, still, that's a fight I'm super excited for all the character involvement there. And also just the power match. I'm very interested to see how all that works, especially considering we're setting up the differences between souls and light spirits and how they all interact. There's just so much stuff that is coming up in the next fight and so much stuff that happened in the prior fight that I'm like, well, this is filler. Like, I don't care. Like, obviously, this is just going to end up with Isolde, you know, getting Tristan to regain his memories, and bada bing, bada boom, we're going to have Tristan back, and yada, 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 yada. But that's once again me underestimating Nakaba Suzuki's capability to reach through the screen, grab me by the throat, and be like, hey, you don't really care that much about these characters? Let's see if I can make you care. And he just makes me care. That's it. Only Nakaba can do that. He got to be turned into hater miss prime 1 week, and then be glazing to the moon and back the next. So, welcome to chapter 194's review. Tantrums versus Isolde, aka Glazing 101, because Nakaba has decided to use death in one way, shape, or form that I really, really like. Just after he used death in a way that I didn't really, really like, not 2 chapters ago. So let's not waste more time. Let's hop right into chapter 194's cover page, as this quadrant. What do you call a group of 4? Like, one person is one person. A duo is a duo. A trio is a trio. What is a four? Is that just a squadron? Or is it, I mean, like, obviously I know we have the platoon, but like, I always say like a quad. But like that's not really a thing. Like, you don't call a group of four a quad. Then like, what do you call a group of five people? Like a pentagon? Like, I have no idea. I don't know. But with that being the case, this four person trio, do I like them as much as the Percival platoon? I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. I was about to be like, do I spin a lot? No, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't like most of the Percival platoon. But once again, for how, like, relatively speaking to the Percival platoon, how little time we've had with these characters, Nakaba has done a fantastic job. A fantastic job. Taking the towel, the moist towel that is this group, and wringing out every bit of potential from their character interactions and dynamics. Tristan versus Isolde, or Tantris versus Kion, is still one of the best fights in this tournament, solely for the character work in it. And this next fight, Tantris versus Isolde, is going to be another one of the exact same. And notably, it is the use of this character right here, in the middle, this dual tone haired fella, that sort of brings it all together, on top of the interactions between everyone else. So once again, let's not actually waste more time. Let's hop right into chapter 194, Tantris versus Isolde. We open up, and we do get to see that Tantris is like, wait, what? There's no need for me to recall you, you said. Why are you saying that? Because, I mean, you do know me, don't you? And one thing I do like, once again, I like the slow burn of Tantris. Did I ever think Tantris was going to last forever? Be real. No one did. Like, actually, you know, funnily enough, I did see a theory on the Reddit. I was looking for the chapter earlier today. I saw a theory on Reddit. Someone, I think like 2 days ago, was talking about Tantris will not gain his memories of Tristan Leonis. I was like, huh? I didn't even click on it. I was just like, that's kind of crazy. But outside that one guy, I don't think anyone really believed that Tantris was going to stick around. But I do like the slow burn of Tantris, and very specifically his desire to reconnect on some. On some Kingdom Hearts that I beat. His excitement to reconnect, it did tickle my fancy. Mainly because of how much it shows that Tristan feels alone, or Tantris feels alone. And how perfectly that juxtaposes with the character that I'll now not call Fake Soul anymore, Isolde 2, as she is truly an Isolde. Notably, one of the dynamics that Tristan seems to embody a lot more than his foe counterpart right now, or Tantris seems to embody in comparison to Isolde 2, is his desire to connect, his desire to be with others, his desire to link. Of course, he was harsh and mean and cruel at first, but then they helped Isolde, and then he saw their dynamics and their interactions and just the joy and happiness that they felt. And currently, he just doesn't feel that. And you can tell as early on this panel and even last chapter, he wants that, right? Like, he knows something is missing fundamentally. And even if he doesn't know what is missing, he has that desire for it, that want, that need. And I do like that. And we see ultimately that Isolde is too busy posting up, and it's like, oh yes, I know full well what a weak-kneed coward you are. Dropping a bar that absolutely bamboozled me. I was like, huh? Because here's the thing, right? I ain't going to you, buckaroo. I may or may not have, there's literally a whole playlist of my reviews, so you know I have, but I may or may not have partaken in a teeny tiny bit of Tristan slander myself. And by a teeny tiny bit, there's probably hours of it total. Like, at least 2. Like if you were to compile all my Tristan haterade moments, it's definitely like over 2 hours. But with it being the case, a weak-kneed coward, that's kind of crazy. But of course, this kind of crazy remark from Isolde not only is meant to provoke a shocked response in Tantris, but also the reader, like, huh? Tristan? Mr. I'ma save the world, Tristan? Mr. Son of Meliodas, Tristan? Mr. Son of Elizabeth, Tristan? Mr. Twilight Prince? Like, what you talking about? And obviously Tantris himself is even confused as he says, I'm a weak-kneed coward? Which does sound absolutely crazy out of context. But notably, I genuinely, like, for a character who I didn't think had mind games, clearly, Isolde knows ball, because this is the craziest layup. Like this is the most, like, I don't know basketball that well. I've only just recently started getting into basketball as I've gotten older. So, like, whatever the most crazy, like, mix-up is in basketball. Like, you double hezzy, behind the leg, backflip from the... Like, this is the craziest setup I've ever seen. She opens with this, and it'll all come full circle by the end of the chapter. So, we see that Tendris does immediately dodge the attack. You know, like, he's like, I love me some tall baddies, but I can't get harmed by tall baddies. What's happening? And we see that Isol 2 says, Tendris, don't let that ridiculous woman's statements fool you. Wait, I read that. See, I promise I can read. In fact, I'm pretty good. I'd say I'm half decent at it. I just don't know what happens when I start reviewing. Like, it's like, admittedly, I don't got the fast brain out there. It's like normally this big. It shrinks down to this big when I start reviewing. But, Tendris, don't let that woman's ridiculous statements fool you, Isol 2 declares. And we see that she decides to drop a bit of a bar. A bit of a band, if you will. As she says, you are a strong, courageous young man. I know that more than anybody. Here's the thing. This is one of those cases where I can almost see Nakaba Suzuki. Like, if I were to be able to reach into the manga, grab Isol 2 by the head, and move her to the side, I could see Nakaba just straight cheesing behind Isol 2. Because I know I'm supposed to hate this character. Or, like, you ever been able to tell? It's kind of like the inverse of, this is going to be, not really a deep cut, but then again, I don't know, as the years go on, there hasn't been really much new Ben 10 product. Like really, if you ain't got the in-tank and, like, some other, like, niche channels, like, you really haven't gotten much Ben 10 content. But it's kind of like the feedback thing. I don't know if y'all were there in the early days when Omniverse first came out, but when feedback was first introduced in Omniverse, like, you could tell he was the alien that the creators wanted you to like. like there was clear, like, market manipulation going on. Gosh darn, you knew for a fact, okay, I'm supposed to be glazing this character. Like, Fake Sold or Isol 2 is the exact opposite of that. I know Nakaba Suzuki is trying to make this character as unlikable as possible. And, like, I can't lie and say I'm completely immune to the conditioning, but since I'm able to see that, I think I'm able to appreciate the nuances of the character more. So technically, I should be like, what on earth is she talking about? She's known this man for less than a year. But at the same time, that she's not wrong, as she literally made him that way. Obviously, Tristan has his own power, and Tantris by proxy has that power. But she's claiming that because that's all she's looking for. That's all she wants. That's all she needs. A courageous, strong young man to protect only her. And we see Anne be like, oh, sweet mother mercy, I want to give this woman back shots of doom and despair, as she glares on and says, that's so brazen of her. Anne, who's stopping you from giving Isol 2 back shots? Certainly not her daddy. I mean, like, you got Mirage Rapier? What is it called? Gosh darn it. Where's my Googler? Where is it? It's not in my pocket. Where's my Googler? What is Anne's? What is Anne's weapon called? You know what? We gonna get real meta real quick. Hold on. Hi, I'm that guy with the pencil, and I'm currently about to use the Googler that I'm actually using to record right now. Hold on. And 7 Deadly Sins, 4 Nights of the... That's the cool thing about OBS. I actually can, like, alter the scenes and stuff like that while still recording. Let's see, angle had. What is your weapon? What is your weapon called? Oh! I may have made a mistake. I may have become error. Hold on. Squall Stinger? No. Weapons. Mirage Stinger. That's it. And you can give her Mirage Stinger backshots. Like it's not impossible. I don't think anyone will be mad at you. The fandom least at all. They really do not like Isol 2. I looked at the Reddit. But hold on. Yeah, baby. But with it being the case, we see that Nasi... Oh! Thing that I kind of forgot to mention, because I did read the Volume 20 extras and I read the Volume 21 extras. I'm going to go back and review all the extras, because Nakaba seems to keep doing this. Fun fact, if you didn't know already, and it's been pretty heavily implied, so I wouldn't be shocked if y'all like, oh, congratulations, old man. You're finally opening your eyes a little bit. Nasine's his girl. Like, that is just Nasine's girl now. She did lock in the gender. So there's no more they, no more he. Nasine's his girl. Why Nakaba locked that very major character point behind the volume extras? I have no idea. If you don't admit, it's been a little bit, so I don't blame you if you don't remember. But remember, the whole intro of part 2 was Gnostians and their conflicted feelings about Percy. And by conflicted, I mean their deep, deep adoration for him. Am I lagging? I better not. Their deep, deep admiration for him. And very particularly, it was just their deep, deep, deep admiration for him. But we had this whole plot line, this whole through line set up in the Fairy King's Forest arc, where the question of what Gnostians was going to be was. We ended a whole cliffhanger on it. Like, oh, Gnostians doesn't have a gender yet, because they haven't picked one based on those that they actually love. But now the whole idea of Gnostians acknowledging and appreciating the fact that they love Percy, they chose to be a girl, because that's what Percy likes. But Nakama did this in the volume extras. It's not off screen. It did get a mention, but like, why do that there? You would think that conclusion, or not say conclusion, but at least like segue into the next major Gnostians Everclear love arc would be like something you'd show in the main manga. Speaking of things you'd show in the main manga, did you know, I think I mentioned this last for you. Did I? If I did, I'm going to bring it up again because it still bamboozled me why it was also in the volume extras and it piles on the volume extra 20 point. We've seen Gnostian's mom, or not Gnostian's mom, we've seen Donnie's mom. Not her full face for some reason in the volume extras, but we saw her. She's watching over Donnie. She's here right now, presumably, still. She's even able to, like, somewhat interact with Donnie, spiritually. I don't know how, but she's able to. And we saw Anne's mom. She's here and alive. Well, not alive, but, like her soul is here and watching over Anne. And I was also telling Anne to go for Percy much, much harder than she is right now. Cool stuff. Why is it in a volume extra? Like, both of those mom plot lines are, oh, well, at least Donnie is, like, I get maybe not showing Donnie, but Anne's mom was like a whole plot point that needed to be addressed. But we're just doing that in volume extras? Why? Nonsense gender reveal? Why? Like I get it. You don't want to center a whole chapter around it, but you did center entire previous chapters around all three of those plot lines. The fact that Donnie didn't have a mom, and we've never heard about his dad. The fact that Anne's mom worked for Camelot. That was a plot line that was kind of left open ended. But I guess we're just going to resolve it in the volume extras. Nazi and gender. Once again, an entire plot line. Just off screen. Or not off screen. Volume extra. Why? As you can tell, a guy who reviews and talks about Fortnite religiously on this channel didn't know that until the blessed people in my comment section were like, hey, Pencil, did you know that? And I was like, I did not. So I don't know why Nakama keeps doing this. Next thing we're going to find out, the reason why Arthur was evil is going to be locked away in the volume extras. Seriously, I don't know. Nakama, once again, it's the idea that the man can blow my mind away, but at the same time, make really weird decisions. But you know what? Question: is that just weird for me? Am I the problem? Does anyone else feel like we should have gotten Austin's gender reveal in a main chapter? Like, it's not. I'm not saying it's impossible that could happen later, but like, feels weird for that to be lots of volume extra, right? Am I the only one who was concerned about Anne's mom's as a plotline, or is it just me? Or were other people like, yeah, maybe that should have been like resolved as like an actual thing we could have known, especially if it was going to be something as simple yet complex as her soul literally tracing her daughter. Donnie? I feel like most people don't care about Donnie, but I care about Donnie. Let's see. All that to say, Nessian says, you're right, but Isolde is acting rather strange too. And Donnie says, looks like he's gonna have another battle to fight soon. And Gareth says, women are scary now. I don't get why there's so many O's here, but Gareth says, women are scary now. I feel like that would have been benefited from less O's. But I do like both Donnie and Gareth both being like, he's got two Isoldes fighting over, huh? We ain't got nobody. But that is actually neat. And once again, I do love Gareth, man. Like, Ballin has definitely been the proprietor of most of my glaze, I'll admit. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, I've been... Can I say that? See, the thing is, though, the blessing and the curse... Y'all listen. Sometimes I try, and I get away with it occasionally. I try to slip in some little sauce, some little crazy. I like to drop it sometimes. I like to sprinkle it in there, especially once I get like past the 15-minute mark. Because according to my analytics, very few people watch past the 15-minute mark. So like, I always try to slip in something slick, but then y'all hit me with a timestamp in the comments. I'm like, gosh darn it! They do be paying attention. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate that. I love that. I love that y'all enjoy the content so much and pay attention to what I say. But like, I've been gargling on Ballin's meat so much, you may think I don't like Gareth. But I do really, really like Gareth. And so far, I do like that they've been facilitating a whole bunch of narrative plot stuff with their abilities and their ability to see soul. And I do like that they are able to define that fine distinction and help redefine not redefine, but put extra emphasis on the divide between life spirits and souls. We're using Gareth in contrast and in alignment with Percy to really highlight and overgrow that dynamic, which I do appreciate. But with it being the case, we see a little bit more of Isolde 2's mentality, methodology, and character, which I will admit I do appreciate, even if I do fundamentally disagree with. And she scowls upwards, looking at the supreme ore farmer himself, Beltreep. And she thinks in her head, you have to win this, for my sake, because I sure can't count on the father who threw me aside any longer. Wait, oh no, wait, yeah. Whenever you marry, my child, pick a man stronger and braver than myself. Am I clear on that? Isolde. So, this is the thing. I thought Isolde had just stolen Isolde's name, but I must give credit. I'm so sorry. I forget the commenter who did it. But there was a commenter a while back. I think it was either like the same chapter we first saw Fake Sold, or a few chapters after that. There are actually 2 Isoldes in Arthurian mythology. I didn't know that. But I remember they had mentioned that. But since I was so convinced this was like just a person who stole Isolde's name, I didn't think their name would actually be Isolde. And the reason I say their name is actually Isolde is because these are her own memories. She's remembering what Damon's, or maybe this is Beltreep. Once again, it's hard to tell when he changed his name. Maybe he changed his name the moment he got to Camelot. Maybe he didn't. But regardless, Damon or Beltreep calls her Isolde. And like, obviously, Isolde 2 isn't gaslighting herself, I wouldn't think. I saw some people on Reddit say, like, maybe this is, like, Camelot manipulation, but that seems, like, so oddly specific and random to, like, change the name to Isolde. So, like, it's entirely possible, well, not entirely possible, it just seems to be the case that this woman is also Isolde. Just as there are 2 Isoldes in Arthurian mythology. And I believe, once again, I'm not too sure, I believe one of the Isoldes dies. Now, obviously, this chapter ends with an Isolde with a sword in her heart, but, like, I don't think it's gonna be that one. It's exactly what making it boom. But, with it being the case, we do see that Isolde 2 declares, yes, and that's why I chose you. One with bravery, muscle. Tantra's got the gains. Bravery, muscle, and the will to care for and protect me alone. And see, there's the dual-sided nature of Isolde 2. And why I don't like her, but I understand her, but I disagree with her. You know, like there are layers to it. I personally, and this is a me thing, and this is just not even how I was raised. Once again, a lot of pencilisms are shockingly pencil exclusive. Like, I was raised in a very specific way by my family. Like, that's undeniable. A lot of my humor, a lot of my vocal patterns, a lot of it is just ripped straight from my mom, dad, grandparents, family members in general. A lot of my phrases, well, not all of them. Like, I still don't, being completely, am I lagging again? What is happening? I just want to record. Hold on. We're going to get real close and personal. Y'all peep the Sharingan. Hold on. In fact, speaking of the Sharingan. Cool down. Like, is it, what's wrong, camera? Please. I just want to record. I promise. I want to record another thing after this too, but if you're going to give me this much trouble, we're not even 30 minutes in. We're not even 30 minutes into the review and you give me all this hassle. But, let's see. Hopefully we aren't lagging anymore. Do I mention the Sharingan? I got to stay on point. I'll pull out the sketchbook. But I do want to get through the point, because you know me, I will forget the point if I do not get all the way through it. And there's a 50-50 shot I will remember. I am going to pull up the sketchbook and explain why low-key the Sharingan has been evolving. Your boy may have 3 Tomo. Wrong sketchbook. Where's the other one? Where are you? Zeus! I bring the destruction of Olympus! Okay, there we go. But, all that to say, this is something that is a pencil exclusive. But I guess it is somewhat inspired by my parents. But not really, because they say different things. I don't like that. The thing I fundamentally disagree with Isolde on is that she wants Tantris to live exclusively for her. Exclusively. As she says, one with bravery, muscle, and will to care for and protect me alone. Capital A-L-O-N-E. And would that be the case? I just can't rock with that. Like, I don't like the idea of anyone, especially a significant other. But of course, you know, Isolde 2 is gaslight, gatekeeping, and girl bossing Tristan. But I don't like the idea of anyone just exclusively living for somebody else, using all their abilities just to support one person. I've never been that way. Mainly because I think while interpersonal connections are important, I do believe after a certain point, if they are your permanent significant other, you should dedicate a whole chunk of yourself to them. I don't think you should give everything you are to somebody else. You can give them a whole lot. I'm going to give a whole lot of me. Heck, you give a whole lot of me half the time anyway. But not everything, man. And that's what I don't agree with. And I think this nature of Isol 2 comes from her upbringing. Very specifically, the way her father probably coddled and cradled her, especially considering it doesn't seem like she had a mother figure in her life, and she was presumably raised in Camelot. There probably was a whole bunch of isolation, like with Theodora, except unlike Theodora, it doesn't seem like Beltriep and or Damon at the time, whichever it was, had anybody else. Isolde 2 only knows how to live by the means and metrics of someone dedicating their life to her and protecting her entirely, doing everything in their power to. That's why she's so willing to do anything to get that back, because it's all she knows. She doesn't have any idea of friendship or camaraderie. She likely only knew her dad, and thusly would only be able to be protected by someone in this way. She can't even fathom the idea that someone would have multiple things that they care about, or possibly give up themselves or another for the sake of the world. And I do like that conflict, right? I think it's wrong on a personal level, and I also think it's wrong because, she's actually gaslight, gatekeeping, girl bossing somebody else against their will. But at the same time, I understand why she's like that, not just because of her upbringing, because of how desperate she is, right? Like, I can't imagine. I'm not sure. Whether it be your father or your mother or whoever raised you or anybody you have a deep personal connection with, if they spontaneously didn't just forget about you, because forgetting about you is one thing, but they actively wanted to get rid of you, or just didn't really didn't like you, or didn't know who you were, yeah, I understand going to any means to not just preserve your old lifestyle, but also to see if you could get that back. Dressing Tantris up in Beltriep's armor in a desperate attempt to get Beltriep to remember and acknowledge her. I do get it, even if I don't agree with it, because desperation makes you do crazy things. Trust me, I've been down bad before. I've done insane things. So I do not like nor agree with fake soul. Am I tweaking? Am I not lagging? I may just be tweaking. No. I am. Why? Why? Hold on. In fact, hold on a second. And don't worry, I'm gonna show you the thing with the sketchbook now, because I've gotten through the point about Isol. Why I do ultimately understand her, yet do not fundamentally agree with her methods on how she goes throughout things. Where is it? Where are you? Zeus! I'm sorry. Not Zeus. Let's try this. Hopefully you won't lag expeditiously. I hope. I would just like to get through my video, please. Please. No, we will not be doing that. Okay? Alright. Okay. My knees. Sorry. Alright. Okay. Let's see. Hold on one second. It's clear I haven't done this in a while. Let's see, other camera. Will you work? Hello? Please, we need to come back. I have a review to complete. I was wrong, and I just can't leave without you. Camera, come back. You can blame it all on me. Camera, I was wrong. Okay. I guess it's just not gonna work. So we're just gonna have to keep working on the laggy camera. That's unfortunate. Okay, I'm gonna have to just invest in like a proper camera, because this is not working, and I'm not. Ain't nobody got all day for this. We gotta record, gosh darn it. I got Vigimos to record. I got patrons and members to get early content out to, and I'm gonna be gone in about 2 weeks, so I need to have videos prepped. But with it being the case, one thing I did slightly want to flex, and so I was mentioning Sharingan because of camera issues. I've been on like a little bit of an ink kick. It's not Inktober yet. Nowhere near Inktober. Year is flying by fast though. It's crazy that it's already June. I don't know. I feel like just yesterday was like January. But I've been on a little bit of an ink kick, using Sharpie marker instead of pencil. And for some reason, I've been on a Guilty Gear kick as well. I think Unica did just drop, right? Like there's a reason I drew her first in the lineup. But this is just your boy. This is just your boy with ink and an image. You know, obviously, this isn't like original work. It's just me looking at the render art and then taking it down. But low key, look at your boy got a cooking. Look at your boy got a cooking. Ramathar, I got that down. That's my main. No sleep on the main. Maybe to pick up Beauty. But then I have to buy Fight Pass 4, which I just don't want to do. I didn't finish Elfelt yet, but and notably, I struggled heavily. In fact, is it on the Instagram? I'm not sure if Elfel is anywhere on the Instagram. But I struggled immensely. I think she is, actually. I struggled immensely with drawing Elfel's headshot. Like just her headshot. But look at your boy. Obviously, I'm not fitting any of their full bodies into the frame. This is only like a, 9 by 6 inch. And of course, a better artist could do that. But once again, I am using thick behind Sharpie markers. I'm not using any of the fine tip ones as an extra challenge on top of the challenge. So I'm working and look at how, like, I mean, it's not perfect or anything, but look at that. I pulled off Abba pretty well, although once again, barely any of Abba. And the one major issue I have with this drawing is I was getting a little bit too happy with the freestyle. Her forearm is way too large relative to her shoulder. And her head's really small. But, like, outside of that, I think the detailing, once again, was done. I have no idea how to do, like, shading with ink, though. So I've just been, like, doing variations of cross-hatching. I've been trying to avoid color. Even did Millia Raid so far. Once again, I'm just going to try and go through the entire cast, bit by bit, just to see what I can do. Gosh darn it. Because your boy gotta be talking. That's just with ink. So, who knows? Maybe your boy is evolving. Maybe my Sharingan it. Maybe I'm about to hit 2 Tomo. Because I've always had one. But with that being the case, we leap back into the chapter itself, and we see Tantris and Isolde going band for band, blow for blow. Very specifically, actually landing damage on each other. But Tantris only lands a hit on her arm, while Isolde lands a hit on his face. And while Isolde goes, ah, Tantris simply mogs right on through it. Obviously, I like to headcanon, and this is like the most minor and stupid headcanon ever, so maybe like pencil, hop off tip. But considering it's Tristan / Tantris, I rarely ever hop on tip. So let me hop on tip a little bit. I like to imagine Tristan doesn't have like much of a vocal response to the pain because he's so used to it. He's a being that like consistently breaks his own body and heals it in combat and stuff like that. So he's so used to the idea of taking damage as something as minor as a cut to the face just doesn't even register. And notably, we will not see an appearance of any of Tristan's ascended states this chapter. He does not go into goddess mode, he doesn't go into Nephilim mode, he doesn't go into demon mode, none of that. He stays in base the entire time, which is kind of an Isolde downscale until you remember that mental nerfs actually do matter a whole lot in Seven Deadly Sins. Mental nerfs can take you from viciously dominating your opponent to genuinely getting one shot by them, so assumedly Isolde is pretty heavily mentally nerfed here. But with it being the case, we see that Naskins is concerned and says, they're landing hits on each other. And Anne says, weren't they both in even match in training? And Kion lets out a sigh of sadness as he says, that training was real-life battle in all but name. Training has value, they said, only when you go beyond going easy on it. And Anne says, what? But couldn't that lead to serious injuries? And Kion agrees and says, it was Isolde who made the first suggestion. Why did I keep reading wrong? It was Isolde who first made the suggestion. And Anne says, Isolde? And Kion goes, yes. That's how serious she is when it comes to Prince Tristan. It's no exaggeration to say that she's ready to throw her very life away for his sake. Which, like, once again, Kion, man. Kion, how you becoming so goated, dog? What? Let me just stop looking at OBS. Maybe, I gotta just stop looking. Let me not look at it. But, Kion acknowledging somebody, especially once we get a little context for what past Kion thought of Isolde. For current Kion to have such a strong respect for her dedication and determination is really, really nice. Once again, I think the loss of Jade really did spur something in Kion. That need for connection, that respect for others, and also just like the loneliness that comes with losing a man you consider your closest friend. Like that hits, and seeing him go through that, just beautiful, and seeing how he respects and gives praise to other characters. But another thing I will admit, I think the reason Isolde and Tristan and all of them were so comfortable training full out as if it were a real battle is because of Tristan himself. He can heal all physical wounds. He just can't heal stuff like curses and stuff like that. So ultimately, they could really go all out in battle at all times. They aren't saying they won't get Zenkai boosts, but they could go absolutely crazy. Then Tristan heals himself and heals them, and then they're good. But with it being the case, we see that Isolde goes back in time, back to reality, to when we first met. When we first met, I thought you were like a prince that stepped out of a fairy tale. You were gallant and handsome, gentle-mannered. Your voice was calm, but sweet. You were a little naive about the world. Your smile was cute. Which is, it's crazy to say he was a little naive about the world, because I'm not sure if this, when their first meeting is before. Well, actually, no, it's probably after. No, I mean, it's probably before. Yeah, I think it's before. Because remember, Tristan did get the entirety of Seven Deadly Sins in high HD, multi-perspective, top tier. Like, he got the Seven Deadly Sins anime we were supposed to get, gosh darn it. So he does have full context of that, but that may not be at this point just yet. Though we do find out that I think it's just reinforced, the Four Knights prophecy has actually been around for a while, I'm pretty sure. It's not just that the manga itself has been around for a while. I think the prophecy. I forget when Bartra said it, because it is a Bartra prophecy specifically. It's not a Guinevere prophecy. It's a Bartra. I keep saying Bartra because I'm so used to Blue Lock, but it is a Bartra prophecy. But I forget when exactly lore dropped, and if that's ever been stated. Something about Lance is ringing a bell with that, but I don't think that's the case. But with it being the case, we do get to see that Tristan kind of was a guiding light, a sweet soul to Isolde. And as she admits, you were the son of the great hero Meliodas, a prince who'd someday shoulder the entire kingdom. You were just too far away from me, living in a different world entirely. And yeah, you know what? It is like... How do I put this? It's hard, right? Especially when you know you and somebody else come from fundamentally different backgrounds. And I'm not saying it's hard to find common ground. Like, I've met people from all over the world who also happen to like anime and manga. It just happens, right? But, like, it is hard to initially bridge that gap. Just with strangers in general, even if everything is exactly the same, just bumping into somebody instead of a chance to meet, it's considered rude. And, like, you may need to need a box over that. And with that being the case, it's hard to connect. It's hard to meet people. It's hard to know who and what you are relative to other people. Hold on. Gotta pull the shirt down a little bit. Yo, wait, hold on. Sorry. Since this is a chapter of a little bit of aura farming, allow me to aura farm just a little bit. I don't aura farm often, but when I do, it's because I'm proud of the gains. First things first, peep the physique, peep the sheer. There, I'm lagging again. Why? But peep the physique. It's not immaculate. It's not immaculate. Peep the look at that. When I suck it in, I basically got no waist. And peep the gains. Today was pull day, so the biceps are looking not that good, but still, look at the gain. Look at the. I'm proud of me. The arms ain't the largest, ain't the biggest. They's the most well defined, and your boy ain't got abs. We still got fabs of doom and despair, but like the core is actually kind of solid. The pectorals aren't as large as they used to be. The back, don't talk about the back. It's fine, but it's just like, once again, it's not as defined as it could be. And also, I just been feeling stronger. The gym has been hitting. I will not lie to you. So don't be shocked. If y'all ever see me in person, if I'm hitting this pose, it's because I'm flexing. If I'm hitting this pose, it's because I'm trying to be Frieza. If I'm hitting this pose, it's because I'm aura farming. But with it being the case, we see that Isolde ultimately just felt super disconnected from Tristan. And we see that I'm lagging, so I'm going to, once again, unplug and replug. I think the camera just keeps overheating. I don't know. Let me see. Everything else is closed on you, right? Okay, not everything. Let's see. Close. I don't want to blow into the mic or blow on the camera to cool it down because I have some hot breath. But let's see. All right, we're back now. But Isolde felt really, really disconnected from Tristan, essentially. But ultimately, because of the disconnection, she was the person who was allowed to connect, as we see. But then, one day, so you see, you're not like the royals at all. At least you're waking up from that dream now. And this seems to be a continuation of the flashback we got a while ago. It was a flashback when Kyan was talking to Isolde about her commoner status. We did see like the back end of this conversation, and now we're just getting more context for it, what happened afterwards. And of course, it's young Kyan being mean, but then again, young Kyan, pre any character development. Also, he's a spoiled kid, right? Like kind of how I gave Isolde 2 a pass for her twisted, mean, freewheel stealing mentality. I will give young Kyan a pass because he's a baby who was raised in very, very posh conditions and doesn't have respect for the common folk. Because I highly doubt that they Margaret have too much respect for the common folk or mentioned that or tried to raise it into Kyan just yet. But with it being the case, we see that he did actually knock Isolde down a few pegs as Jade looks on like, dude, you're ruining my chances. I know I'm only 5. But we see that the guards come yelling, Prince Tristan! And Kyan's naturally like, oh, what's all the noise? Oh, young Kyan, we haven't seen Prince Tristan for a little while. And Jade says, hey, let's look for him too. And Isolde says, well, or not Isolde, Kyan says, well, fine. I suppose we will. And then Jade, my boy, man, Jade, man. Like, in retrospect, do I talk about it now? I think I'll talk about it now just because, the later part of the chapter does have more contextual stuff to talk about in the moment. Jade is definitely a character who could have benefited from some more screen time before he got boomed. Especially I think in the Seven Deadly Sins universe context, where, like, if a character gets boomed, there's like a 50-50, 75-25 shot that they'll come back in some way, shape, or form. I think that's why I didn't feel it. But even then, I still remember quickly growing from massively indifferent to Jade to glazing him to the moon and back. And once again, man, this character implementation is perfect, bro. And that's the thing. Nagaba's keeping him gone, but he's using him in these good ways for character moments and flashbacks that I really appreciate. But with that being the case, my boy asks, hey, do we get a reward for finding him? And Kind is naturally like, oh, stop talking nonsense, Jade. And hey, that's not nonsense. Run me a little bit of bread, buckaroo. What you talking about nonsense? I ain't got no sense till you run them. But with it being the case, we see Isol down from the idea that she's not a noble and thus will never have a chance with Tristan, walking along, only to notice a hole, seemingly either in a wall or a fence into bushes. And she admits, I ran into you. The real you, all by yourself, holding your knees and crying. She drops the book, the possible fairy tale book. In fact, is it a possible fairy tale book or is it just flat out? It's hard to tell. But the fairy tale book, she drops it and says, And naturally, young Tristan says, no, don't tell anyone. Don't tell on me. And Isol says, you're crying in the woods, gang. What? And we see Tristan explain, don't tell them I was crying here. If Mama and Papa find out, they'll worry for me. And, man, like, Tristan's a better kid than I am, man. As I've gotten older, I've definitely been like, creators, progenitors, original origin point. Need not worry. If I ever come bother you about something, that is not me. Throw it out the window. And that's once again a mentality I developed like in my teen years. But Tristan has it very, very early. This idea of not wanting to bother anyone, not wanting to be a burden. And like, I think a lot of people are like that, right? Like where you don't, like even if you don't get to be the strongest or the best or the fastest guy, you just want to be, good. You want to be good. And you want to be good in any way that's possible. In every way that's possible, every way that's viewable. And that's what Tristan is currently dealing with right now in this flashback. The idea of being perceived. He even says, and if Kyan and Jade knew about it, I'm sure they'd laugh a lot. Once again, showing that Tristan, he does feel a bit self-conscious, right? Like he doesn't not just want to not ask for help. He also just doesn't want to make fun of asking for help or doing anything that could result in help. It's something that that's hard, right? Because like you do for the friend thing. And once again, I do believe you should be able to lead on your feeling, but at the same time, I understand. I personally don't because I'm me, so I don't blame other people who don't. But I believe teasing and connection between friends is like the basis of a good, healthy, organic dynamic. Like I don't know. I think of my closest homies ever, and I've created some of the most diabolical, devious, down bad, and atrocious jokes with them specifically because I know them like the back of my hand. I know they won't spontaneously throw me out the window. Well, one of them could, but it's still, I know he wouldn't do it. So I do cherish the idea of teasing and fun in friendships. And with that being the case, we see that Isol and Tristan don't have that kind of dynamic, that kind of friendship. And she says, I swear by my life that I won't tell anybody. Isol. So now y'all see it, right? Now you'll see why I have to do jumping jacks, because for some reason a bit of eepiness is taking me over. I'm not going to take a nap in the middle of the review. Get the blood pumping. Get the blood pumping. I'm sorry, this is going to be one of the weirdest reviews out there. Multiple camera cuts, jumping jacks, meta. Like, man, I'm sorry, I just have so much fun. Like, I'll admit, I guess because I've been doing them the longest. Like, they are the longest running thing on the channel at this point. And longest consistent running thing, at least. I feel so comfortable in the Fortnite reviews. I feel like this is the purest pencil you get. I have the memes, I have the lore, I have the history. I usually don't get things wrong in this model in particular, but I still do. So like, I just feel comfortable here. So my apologies for however many jumping jacks that was. But with it being the case, we see Isol once again make this promise, and we saw that she broke that promise at the start. She wouldn't tell anybody, but she called him a weak-kneed coward. Once again, she's planting those mines, right? She's a good Penny Parker on any map that requires defense. And yo, I ain't gonna lie, I've been obsessed with Rivals. I haven't streamed it yet because I tried to test stream with nothing, and it was lagging like crazy. So I need to get my internet set up before I start streaming anything like Rivals. I need to complete Hollow Knight on stream. That's just been sitting there. I still have yet to beat that game. It's just sitting there, so I gotta beat that on stream, and I can run that just fine. But outside of that, Isolde laid down that mine, that trap. Just like I've been obsessed with playing Marvel Rivals. In the characters, I usually... Who is even my Marvel Rivals, man? Like, I was a Thor main, but then I kind of just dropped the character for a while. And then I became like a Strange main, then Strange got nerfed, but I still played Strange. And now Strange is like, not unnerfed fully, but like, he's back a little bit because of the Wanda team up. And I do dabble in a bit of Wanda, but at the same time, I like Namor a whole lot. And then again, this is because I love the anti-dive meta character, because like, there was a whole bunch of dive meta, especially in the low ranks where I'm stuck at, because, I'll just be struggling. But, Penny Parker, mines. Isolde lay that down like a Penny Parker nest, and it's going to come back to bite us later. If not bite us immediately. As we see that Isolde realized something. That was what I am 45. Okay, I gotta hurry up. Let's see. That was when I realized you didn't live in some faraway world after all. You were the son of Meliodas from the Seven Deadly Sins, the future king of Leonis, and most of all... Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be adult Isolde. And most of all, a knight of prophecy since youth. One who'd have to protect the world at its most vulnerable in the future. The crushing pressure of it all made even you cry, like it would any other young boy. But even as you shuddered and sobbed, you forced yourself to get up. You took pride in this pressure, becoming this gentle, noble figure, fighting for humanity. And from that day on, that day forward, I resolved to devote myself to supporting you with my entire life. And once again, don't fully agree with that. The only things I think I'll ever well, then again, I have things in my life right now that I would. Like my family, yeah, I get laying my life down for them. But, my kids are like the only thing that I'm like, yeah, everything. You got that, kid. You got that. Because like, that's basically my job as a parent. That's how I view it. But I do think that's a little bit unhealthy. Like giving yourself up everything and giving yourself in totality up to other people. But I know that is a thing that's common. I do understand that does give you strength and motivation that you possibly never have to persevere through scenarios that you may have never been able to get through without that dedication. Hope that made sense. Sorry, I was looking at the lag. Let's see. Oh, speaking of, let's see. We see that Tantris does actually manage to go a little bit crazy on Isolde and slash her up a bit. And she even says, ow! And Tantris is like, oh, no! I can't hurt a tall baddie! And Isolde too is like, yes, hurt the tall baddie! And Percival's like, no, Tristan, you're a tall baddie! And and Gawain is like, no, my tall baddie! Sorry. But very particularly, I do like that Ballin has no reaction, but is still acting as Gawain's like chair. Like that is fun. I love that he's the first member of the Gawain platoon. But we see, obviously, the only person who's excited for this is Isolde too, at least for now. And we see that Anne doesn't even want to watch. Closing her eyes, she says, just stop this! And Nocian's mostly indifferent says, not good. I know Nocian's is more than mostly indifferent. But we see that Tantris is like, Isolde, it's useless to keep this going. Let's just quit. I don't want to hurt a tall baddie any longer. That is crazy. Once again, this is all base Tristan. It is a mentally nerf Isolde. And we see Isolde breathe heavy as she says, I don't want you to dive into the battle against Camelot at all. And Tristan is like, huh? And she's like, I don't know what Camelot even is. And she says, and I don't want you to be hurt by anything, but... She lunges in with the Morningstar and swings, destroying the ground. Once again, she hasn't used any magic against Tristan. She says, you swore to yourself that you'd step up, since you wanted to protect people most of all. Tantris dodges, Tantris blocks, and we see that tears are streaming down her face as she gives her all into this last push. As she says, at the very least, I want you to recall your mission as a knight of prophecy, please. And she actually manages to tag Tristan hard enough to send the boy flying straight out of the crater. And we see she runs forward and declares, but if I can wish for one more thing. One more thing indeed. One more thing indeed. And you know what? Let me talk about it here. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to hurry up to the end. I don't want this thing to be like too far over an hour, but I think we're gonna get there. Maybe not. But there is one fundamental difference between Isolde 1, aka our current Isolde, and Isolde 2. Isolde 1 cares about the world, cares about other people, cares about how other people are recognized, and thinks beyond herself. She's very selfless. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, this video is just gonna be like, clearly I'm not gonna be able to record another video after this. That sucks. I really want to record another video. But clearly, ISOL 2 is very, very selfish. And while there are good, logical, in-universe excuses for that, there really aren't. There are. There are good, logical, and narrative excuses. That shows the difference between the two Isolds and why Tristan would very likely fall for Isold 1 over Isold 2. Drastically, just because of who they are as people. Because note, Isolde never once, she specifically opens up last chapter, once again, like I mentioned, laying down those minds, playing those long-term mind games, not just with the weak-kneed coward thing, but also with the whole idea of, I don't want you to remember me. Isolde is willing to sacrifice herself. That's what Kyan pointed out, and it's true. She doesn't want Tantris to remember her. She doesn't care if he does. She wants him to remember everything else. The world. The prophecy. The lives of all those innocent people he's supposed to protect. She wants him to remember all that. And very specifically to remember one more thing. As Fake Soul says, or not, I keep saying Fake Soul because he's saying it, but Isold 2 says, Tantris, you have to fight for me! Once again, highlighting the contrast. Isold number 2, very selfish, wants Tantris to only focus on her. No individuality, no freedom, no connections beyond that. Just her. And the rest of the world be lost for all she cares. I'm not sure if this is an internal thought meant to like impress her magic on him or just internal thought to herself. She literally says, no, don't remember all that, because she doesn't want Tristan to leave her, Tantris to abandon her, like Beltreep did, even if, she like coerced Tantris into this position in the first place. But we see Isold swing, once again, going crazy on the patterns here. And we see Tantris very specifically unable to even bear to look at Isold as she swings, and thrusts the sword forward. And thus the intro comes back around to bear. As the blade pierces straight through Isold. He gets all up in Isold's guts. And by guts, I mean he gets all up in Isold's chest. And pierces her directly in her core. And Isold drops the Morning Star. But notably, she doesn't stop. She completes her phrase. Kyan is in shock. Anne is in shock. Nazi's is in shock. Donnie is in shock. Percy is in shock. And even Isold 2 is in shock. As Isold 1 declares, just remember the one who swore to support you alongside Kyan and I. The man who lost his life doing just that. For you. She's playing mind games, bro. She's playing mind games. And we see, as the blade pierces Isold's heart. Boom, boom. Boom. We get a zoom in on Tristan as he remembers it all. Very specifically, the connections before any of the prophecy. The connections to his friends, those he lost. Jade steps in to protect me, and then... Forgive me, Jade. Chin up, Prince Tristan. Kyan, you need to thank them, and apologize too. Okay. I really think you do look good in a ribbon. It's cute. I'll crush anyone who dares to hurt Prince Tristan. All the connections. Jade, Isold, Kyan... the people he swore to protect and the people he swore to work alongside. And suddenly, the spell is broken. It all comes back. Tantris? Ref, stop the fight already! And cries. And Capital Knee, who is Golden, by the way, is like, oh, yeah, I guess she is cooked. As he declares, Isold cannot continue. As a result, the winner is Tantris! And Isold falls to her knees. With a thud, to be caught by Tantris, who holds her up as the sword clatters uselessly against the ground. And he goes, I am a weak-kneed coward. I only made it this far because all of you were supporting me. Isold, I'm sorry. And just like that, he has returned. After a good stretch. Remember, part 2 started a while ago. And he's finally back. We have our third Knight of Prophecy properly returned. Tristan, son of Meliodas and Elizabeth, future king of Leonis, the Twilight Knight of Pestilence has returned. But possibly at the cost of 2 lives. Not just... Yeah, okay, obviously Isold's not going to die here. Like, Tantris can heal her, or Tristan can heal her. I can finally call him Tristan again. But Tristan can heal her, Percy can heal her, and like there are a variety of characters here who can heal her. She'll be fine. We've seen characters in Sevendeadlysins decide to survive much larger holes in their chest. She'll be fine. But I love this chapter, man. I love it. It is character work of the chapter. And once again, I think the main thing I have to love, not just Isolde playing mind games, that is a nice layer of Isolde's characterization that I do appreciate, and also her exclusive connection to Tristan in this way, that she, more than Kyan, more than Jade, understood them. And they all had their own little moment like that with Tristan. I love how Jade is being used. Once again, Death and Seven Deadly Sins kind of don't mix. Like, I still wouldn't be surprised if we get some Demon King or Supreme Deity. Like once again, most characters in Seven Deadly Sins, they don't, like, they're dead, but they ain't dead, if you know what I'm talking about. But Jade's death has not just been used, has not just been stuck to, but has been evolved in a way to do more than the character living ever could do. Right? Like, the way it's been used to reinforce certain characters, to motivate certain characters, to evolve certain characters, it's been so useful in evolving the narrative in a way. And I love it. I love it. I love that Nakawa is actually using it this way. Am I lying? No, okay, we're almost done. In fact, we are done. We made it to the end of the chapter. And that's why I love this chapter so much, man. Like, it is a character study that uses death really, really well, and takes a character who I'm not going to say I didn't like. Like, I don't hate Isolde or anything, but she's, like, the least favorite of her main cast, I'd say. Like, of the living ones, at least. Like, I like literally every other character more. Yes, I like Lance, Tristan, Percy, Gawain, Balin, Gareth, Dan, Nociant, Donnie, Sylvain. I like them all more than Isolde. So it took a character I didn't really care too much about and was kind of like, oh, this fight's kind of filler, I don't really care, I know how it's going to end. And it made me care. It made me appreciate it. And not only that, it brought back Tristan in a way that feels believable while also utilizing one of the few deaths that's stuck so far very, very well. So overall, this is once again some peak Nakaba Suzuki writing, some top tier stuff. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video, somehow, I'm sorry, to the jumping jacks and the poor camera and all that, please do me a favor and leave a heart to remember. I don't know why these passwords are getting real long and complex, but a heart to remember in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any music of the channel. Also, you even have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Exclusive videos, early content, and more. So now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the 27-minute live reaction to this very chapter, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also the link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 minutes for a short video, donate a song video, or any means at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Redwolf 4765, Astro, Super Flame Zero, Glacier XZ, Zera, Brendan Payne, J2MA, Guillaume, Buddha Ura, Alex Kenny, Yuki Ally, Enzo, Nevis97, Zachary Wilson, Azo2404, Planet Crone, Rye Rich, and G Prosper. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our line art tier patrons: Sean, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Dread Zoan, and A+A. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our Ink tier members: Austin Wimberly, A. Uchiha, and Shrimpo the Shrimp. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Waki Munoz and Waki Munoz. And I think the final Giga Super Gargantuan Legendary Ultimate and even further beyond thank you to our ultimate tier, That Guy with a Pencil tier patron, Calvin Elder.